parliament NDC MP back was me a prophet of doom, a prophet of doom. But I didn't know who's a DB Makacho say, yeah, wa Bemuda. Ye name be a ya, uncle ye, and a yin dear cool use. Until so starting now, Sasa be a bit to me a catcher said, I did where we did. I had never quack we. Sans and penny for say, I grow beswa. If you are no pa, if we are no pa now, be at the time, I'm away 2025 mid-year review, and boy, at the time, no, now share fiscal tables now. Now we're senior corner. They will underperform on revenue. But if I'm quite check kakra. Abra ye vete aban we say the ministers no. Omo catch and say omo susu say revenue 13% of GDP. Che say afie no ye di dwa nyina wo oman ni mu sika eba oman ni mu GDP no. Emu nchiche mu 13% or hanchiche mu dumiensa ene ba aban kache na aban de aboye ho akohoma. Because aban mono humor MPP aban mono humor nti ontumi mobilize revenue nti omo better fiscal strategy be a omo de ba obe yi taxes our friend no say nuisance taxes on fat tax from ba obe wi no kra na de no page do 18% of GDP nti that time no na me yes analysis we try and say we calculate so obetumi ade we pra yin na e be bon sama no at the end of the year no you find out say oba aban na nye 13% na ye 16% of GDP. As at now, our figures are published for 2025. So, we are now about 15.7% of GDP. Pacho akosho na abafo.
No, a drop it.
A drop. Into what the revenue no aye politics. What the politics we you know. So minor revenue effort no eswati. But also ma publish another report almost say Asabi do 16.1. Na oka chere sa hena ubenya. Oka say 18. Tis all by 16. Now after we 3 taxes, now the 8 new taxes, including dooms or levy in Kekania Denina buy no. Was the best scenario 16.1 then why? And you see because revenue no performing into no onyesika and spend then you are not better that say fiscal discipline. This year 2026 year revenue actually by about 4.7%. Revenue is already underperforming by about 4.7%. Into to hide it and pretend say we are doing well, we cut expenditure by about 13.8%. So that will be your primary surplus actually. Now expenditure no debi ameka say enye numbers keke. Expenditure no a school dan bi, a hospital bi, a obi na o se fa na djuma, a adibia na o sa ban ye, gota bia na o sa ban hwe ne ye. Say uya krokro de John. Now I'm focusing my figures no amwano. Na nti wo hide na say obetete expenses no so obe wi na djuma wo sen ka the expenses no ye no. Went to me anye. Me no Nkrumah say me ma 2 examples. But no speak at say we are cutting our quote according to our size. But you see a buy program nyame na me draw man no. Wo na wo draw program as a buy na wo say obe we dey asum Ghana for. Na akohoma sika no obe see na sika na be counter. Na be counter afi wo dey aye dey akano. One more the next number now be cut expenses now. So so-called fiscal surplus now can be artificial. Intimidation there. Okay, say Garrett be catcher. In fact, World Bank be catcher will say Garrett program na delay because aban we at the expenditure constraints abeshim or paper figures no one figures na efe. Ewi eche da nsu toy me nkai obi ayo nipa hin ewuye.
Yeah, 30 something.
34. And them say be 60 da na 6 na year I know they can 34 no where 40. That is the cost of agrona mudino. And then answer so here World Bank creates and the catcher will say energy sector debt was say omutumi itu na omuntu an energy sector debt recovery program no oma downgrade implementation because abine into ya adding to into because of paper primary balance figures no man effect. And the into paper primary balance figures no man effect because the revenue nim perform the into the revenue nim perform or the nina politics kai them hana no better na na broadcast say we taxes we see the revenue be costro e kwan be no be close gap na be ba no or say VAT refund na 6% no better so about 4%.
Yes.
Okay, I say jump betro on Facebook say this is the most brilliant analysis I wanted that away. And the revenue need actually by 4.7% into cut expenditure by 13.8%. And so 13.8% of GDP now one spending no. A agenda ubi Nkrumah agenda 111 na. E was say yes. Na eji obi nkwa. and our sacrifice. Okay, I said,
but Abayinso announced this intervention through GRA or port, because a port and say one area Abayinska efipa into the introduced publican AI. As I remember, who said now about duty amount for tria or mutria the correct actual figures. That should be raking in some revenues, no?
Yeah, maybe data or no data or the buy or say revenue in perform after all of that. So you the fiscal strategy in the buy. After no revenue no 4.7% behind schedule.
And where Bank of Ghana they buy?
Where Bank of Ghana summary of economic and financial data or more publish it. Just because before every MPC meeting, they can publish data. Until any analyst can look at the data. Them say they will be doing their MPC press conference. Yeah, where more data or more they have, and it buttresses the point. As someone catch our cancer, what they are doing here politics, revenue. Akoma sika na no ne de hwe o money na wo de pers ko so pese o kire se wo na se be wo do bia until me tax we feel me tax we feel me tax we feel me tax we feel ye ba mu 2017 ye bi kokan is a state of the Ghanaian economy report omo ye analysis na kire say sa de na ye na e bo revenue form until at the time wa ye hit by energy sector crisis time and go 4G and take or pay $1 billion a year. Financial sector resolution ebe kan ho number 2 na yem plan for and so na we say yetua eche uwie ya fi covid uni revenue sales also spend be kan na fi your fiscal space ni na ye dey is the same thing na ban we say aye na no dey born kokwa at the beginning say tie men ko repeat it and no na na yeti win nti ene no o catch us say when your primary surplus and the primary balance is positive, artificial because the one is all compressive expenditure. One of the most critical parts of expenditure or compressive capital expenditure. Capital expenditure is known as acquiring infrastructure projects near there.
But how would you say so compressive when all over the country big push projects air cost?
Minister ne ko na camera for di nachi ofiri ho a kohwese omo ye adwuma bia e da okọ voter region one te se maame ne ba bonten be ka chen se minister e wo ba na camera for abegu ase e na contractor na begu na afi ha hwe nkoso one hwe TV so omo data say capital expenditure only 58% of their target as at Q1 41% underperformance on capital expenditure enye me data omo data kai hunu so say capital expenditure sa big push president catch and say money will not be a problem where you need to until why is the data saying 58%? Why is the data saying 58%? And you see, going back to the first question, me person sounded like me a prophet of doom, but there has not been a single asemwa me no abetena studio as me nkrata maka akere wa abana de ayeka no enye no kore oye say either say una hear prophet to say me na be a prophet, because at the end of that interaction I was asking him say what are the measures I will try to control inflation? Is it working? And always on the alternative you're doing. And let me give you some data. 2022, now inflation is 54% after crude oil prices could do about $128 per barrel. And I've shown you how crude prices has a transmission effect across the entire economy and shoots up inflation. By 2024, we are reducing inflation to 23% when we're leaving power. 31% drop in inflation. That's the method that we were using, tight monetary policy, not sterilization. So essentially what we were doing was that we were hiking up the monetary policy rate to make sure credit creation was limited until there wasn't much liquidity on the market. But the government or the Bank of Ghana didn't have to be paying for it. TMU. Bringing down inflation from 54 to 23%, that is 31% drop. You issue a tightening of monetary policy rate. About we buy, and this is the conversation I was having with Avle at the time, said, no more approach your day. And how does it solve the problem? And at what cost? Or buy no see into the sterilization. But I don't know a question about do we appreciate it or not, into the sterilization. Or before inflation at 23%. As an inflation 5.3%.
Less than
5.3%.
5.3, yes.
Difference near 18%.
Drop.
18% drop. Into yeah, 54% about 23%. That was a 31% drop. Yeah, mocha 16 billion cedis for it. No, no defeat 23%. We do 5%. That is just an 18% drop. And also a mocha 16 billion. So the question is not about whether or not we appreciate the drop in inflation. The question is, what has been the drop in this period, A, and B, what has been the cost? Because our 16 billion we in America say they didn't need to spend it in an attempt to fight inflation. Time ayeka no normally argue, but anyway, by the way, see governor says we jai. They are the part didn't know jai.
Yes, but Kojo, I think also no in looking at the cost, maybe all share the cost on a bino and answer on the state. But so we back down to the micro now. Yeah, sure the cost on individuals, and some would say, okay, a co 54 no. And yes, I'm be inheriting inflation at 51, I'm going to call 54.
Inflation.
And I'm signed about 23.
Inflation, you inheriting inflation at about 16%.
Yes.
Yeah, they bar down to 7.5%.
Yes.
In fact, for almost 3 years, inflation was at single digits. It was when the crisis came, first from COVID, and secondly, when the war started, crude oil prices could do $128 per barrel. And the inflation peak could do 54. Yes, could do.
Yes.
Those were the market conditions that took us there. And there crude oil price I could do 91, you see. Some say fuel prices have gone up on the market. And now it's clear. I mean, when you ask the government, I almost say, oh, Iran crude oil prices are costly. So that characterization say could do in itself is not correct. But here's the point I'm making. And I respect the argument you are making about, but how about the cost to the everyday Ghanaian?
To the everyday Ghanaian.
The economic decisions are always coming at a cost to somebody. But I'm saying to you, say, Nipa now, the inflation bar down by 31%. One spend 16 billion cedis. That's almost, I mean, close to double of what we moye. One mocha 16 billion.
Yes.
We no 18%, no. 18% drop, no. On also a boka 16 billion. Now, on only the no, it doesn't cost you anything. And I make catch you say, no, it doesn't cost you anything. Make sure where it costs you something. So 16 billion, no. A come 34 billion loss, no. And once on the same back into the 96 billion net negative net equity.
Equity, no.
Then no make us one a bit ya. Or say bones you fail up in a bit ya. It is all catch us on only the end doesn't cost you anything. I'm telling you, sir, it's probably costing you even more.
But the businessman would say, sir, and they say me will see this now make up $1. See this a mess sign $1 no. And what form same timer never even 23.
And I make a so we are babitia on the backside. Because our 96 billion or the bebre businessman
I'm watching it here.
You na say increasingly adanse asokwa agenda one no be anya galamse wo say omaye galamse na ma ba bedu ho nsuo asai poto kokan yedan me say guy ba kwaye analytics on X water turbidity levels say just terrible ade anom say on be fight galamse in say 6 weeks or 7 weeks in the end no ubetua for it either through healthcare or through water prices ubetua for it. It is NDC be catcher or say oh on only the no we save ubibia or the anim no natural I say aboake say bi ade bi no esro na yedindindin by inside no udi agro I worse than it. That's the point I'm making to you.
And you still stand by your point, sir. Inflation figures on its own would not make sense unless you connect it to the real sector.
I have always,
and what's happening
I
on
said
the real
it when
sector.
we were in power, and I say it. In fact, clip our boy with a home, and I'm saying it again today. And so, Becca, I make us on the floor of Parliament. Me catch him say the most important thing people measure are lived experiences. So, catch and say inflation about down. I say, Obeko market. Now, the electricity bill 28% up. The lived experience in our county. Or you cook any. What's inflation about down? Dollar about down. The cocoa price I could do the Nkrumah. They say unto by the way, one our car says they say what peggy cocoa into world market price. At the time our car say what is no world market price about down. Says only say a cost. Why are you not increasing the price for the cocoa farmer? Now car say ubetu and crash at March, cocoa farmers were still complaining say baby and come sick. Into one casa will measure what they buy. Yeah, they we are just looking at the data. The data no and a year analysis at it say any transformation in the Ghanaian economy. They are always say, manufacture, never be with him, edit rank of 4. Na se nipa no say one double click and come Obefi say, oh, Mrs. $1 is here form. Now make sure what you are paying at the back end. There's a history to all of this. First of all, when this government assumed office, there were several top NDC people who were on trial, and there was no interest in deliberately trying to railroad them into jail, because the belief has always been that let the wheels of justice grind
slowly,
as they will.
Okay.
As they will. There were some of them Krampo na omo cases. Oma a submission of no case. Emma courts no. Abuegu said they have a case to answer. You know, I know, everybody in this country knows that this government either filed nolli prosequis or withdrawals to get them all off the hook. Even including Omo submission of no case. Court no akase. No, they cannot uphold it. They have a question to answer. And this said, don't let them answer questions.
The AG exercised the mandate under the Constitution.
I'm stating the fact.
Okay.
Then after that, they went on a spree chasing MPP people. From Oma, substantively, feel some more questions to answer, even to communicators. I mean, miracles, they say. And now, but now have a show in the documents. Me catch you say no, I'm coaching girl back. TikTok girl be with Kumasi. I am not Jonah Fini her lawyers to be with her, because the last one jailing no 1 year. No girl no call court cry no only lawyer. That lawyer ebijine muma na lawyer he pre court and say, my lord, lady your buyer ya reigning now pleaded guilty. It wasn't on the advice of legal counsel available to her. Without prejudice to the proceedings that have gone on, let's take her plea again. Judge say there be a convicting on her own plea. Everything has been brought to your attention. Say this girl, and one I'll take a plea. This girl's plea was taken without the advice of counsel. There are several of the issues that are going on. Me say your friend is saying you will hold about on friends so in team Forjo assembly or can in the name of the minority on the floor of parliament BNI for abe goofy or about you. Me ko bi sadan ye nyina ne Kojo now to stop that arrest. Kohwe BNI boy says she share balaclavas o makata kato many tu ne ade say a member of parliament because we can't say more yempe
on the floor of parliament.
Oh, your press conference in the precincts of parliament. No, sir, omokradi omokofa non-MPs by a press conference. I tell you, sir, we're a member of parliament or a press conference in the name of the minority. We had to go in there and have it stopped. We've had several instances of intimidation in Kikaone, and now you bring this Wontumi thing. So this Wontumi thing is situated in a broader matter. Wontumi has not been convicted of being involved in illegal mining.
He's been convicted for facilitating illegal mining.
No, I've read the judgment. He's been convicted. He's been convicted. Yes. Six charges. It is all hinged on the first one. The core,
and the second one.
The first one. In fact, the first one, okay, page 28 of the judgment. I'll say that is the core of the issue. That conviction, which then all the others flow from. No, my lady argument, ni say, on only opinion, muno, to me as a person. Assigning a mineral rights to somebody without the authorization of the minister. Yes. I have read several articles from various FM that show clearly say. Now, first of all, even the piercing of the veil now, will say why. There are several processes that must be followed in it, and if you compare those processes to what you have done, it's a bit questionable. Secondly, nipa nankasa ono aye illegal mining no. Say ono I'm scot free. Say why plea bargain with the state. Plea bargain. And it doesn't sound odd to anybody. Everybody thinks this is normal. This is justice. I'm of the view that this is not. This is a weaponization of the justice system. Just like how they've been weaponizing the state security apparatus. Now, I'll end with this one. NDC for instance, bibi kon nasa woka etua omunyonko huniti etua duomem form ho. Eda ye kan of parliament say mu weaponize state security apparatus no arrest onerous bill conditions near them say oh the law is the law eda ye che Martin Pebu pe afi do ma bom so be gu office of the OSP no pe na de na sekan ni fe no etwa ha said the air cost no, and sometimes when I see some of the NDC CEOs near Kikana de omo justify omo can be almost training there. Na me bisa me say, so do they honestly believe say the air cost we a justice at play? Because what is going on is a weaponization of the justice system. It's a weaponization of the law enforcement institutions. Now so what now here behind say Kai who say what do you baby in the system? I said do you bana we do no. so chinobi kase odibi yewa ebia na wonyojefo a obeka bia ma kakra meka ewo wontumi de the lawyers have come to the view say of course we have the view that Wontumi is a political prisoner. This is being done to him because it's Wontumi and they want to squeeze him as part of the general squeezing to create a certain impression. That's why they will let off the hook. NDC people are almost serious as we have negotiated 60-40 with him. 60-40 copy of the agreement anywhere. Who say plea bargain or say plea bargain. But that is the selective justice that they are going on today. Posterity side of all of us.